Former Pennsylvania judges who devised a scheme to send literal children to for-profit prisons for juveniles in exchange for kickbacks are finally facing some financial consequences. They have faced criminal investigations and are serving prison sentences as a result, but now there's money involved too. They've been ordered to pay more than $200 million to hundreds of victims. So US District Judge Christopher Connor awarded $106 million in compensatory damages and $100 million in punitive damages to nearly 300 people in a long-running civil suit against the judges, writing the plaintiffs are the tragic human casualties of a scandal of epic proportions. So this is a story that we actually covered 8 years ago when it broke, and it was just mind-numbing how callous these judges were and how profit-driven they were. They just wanted to pad their own pockets with these kickbacks. Now, the US District Judge Connor ruled after hearing often emotional testimony last year from 282 people who appeared in Luzerne County Juvenile Court between 2003 and 2008, 79 of whom were under 13 when Judge Mark Ciavarella sent them to juvenile detention, and 32 parents. Now, what exactly did these judges do? Well, let's take a little step back in time and watch this report that details it.
You remember me? Do you remember me? Do you remember my son, an all-star wrestler? He's gone. He's gone.
This mother's rage and fury greeted former Judge Mark Ciavarella as he exited court Friday. Ciavarella sent Sandy Fonzo's son to juvenile detention for possession of drug paraphernalia. Years later, he killed himself.
Prosecutors say Ciavarella was involved in a Kids for Cash scandal. He's accused of taking $1 million in exchange for putting juvenile defendants into private detention centers.
In one reported case, he sentenced a child to 2 years for joyriding in his mom's car. Some of the kids he ordered locked up were as young as 10. In 2009, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court dismissed 4,000 cases Ciavarella handled, saying they had no confidence in his rulings.
So luckily that prosecution, that criminal investigation led to prison sentences for Ciavarella. So it's Mark Ciavarella, and the other judge is Michael Conahan, and they, were getting a deal. Like, hey, send more of these kids to our for-profit juvenile facilities and we'll give you some money. And they collected $2.8 million in illegal payments to do just that. Ciavarella ordered children as young as 8, by the way, to detention. Many of them first-time offenders deemed delinquent for petty theft, jaywalking, truancy, smoking on school grounds, and other minor infractions. The judge often ordered youths he had found delinquent to be immediately shackled, handcuffed, and taken away without giving them a chance to put up a defense or even say goodbye to their families. We'll hear from one of the victims in just a moment, but Cenk, I want to give you a chance to jump in.
Okay, these judges are the worst people alive.
Absolutely.
So as cancerous as they are, though, they're not the underlying problem. The underlying problem is that we allow for-profit prisons. So you know what the judges did first? They helped to shut down a county-run juvenile detention center. That's the way we used to do things in America. Hey, when we're taking away somebody's freedom, the state needs to do that. Because if we allow private companies to do that, they're gonna have a profit incentive to take away freedom. And we lost track of that. So now that for-profit prisons exist, for-profit prison bribes the judges shut down the county-run one. They then say to every kid that comes in, because they make money per kid, they're like, they don't care about the law or justice or anything. You come in for anything, boom, you're gone, guilty, 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 because they're getting paid for it. Why? Because a for-profit prison is getting paid more and doing a kickback to them. Are we insane? Are we insane that we allow for-profit prisons?
Yes.
I guarantee you this is happening all across the country. You know why? Because there's evil people in the world. And the minute you give a profit motive for them, they're gonna do it. And by the way, of course, the for-profit prisons afterwards, and this is a case from a long time ago, got way smarter. They realized, you don't bribe the judges one by one. You bribe the politicians. They shut down the public prisons for you. They start the private prisons, and then they make the laws tougher tougher, and they shovel all these kids and take away their freedom so we can make a buck off of them. And then when we complain about it and everybody agrees, the right wing agrees, left wing agrees, doesn't matter, they already bought the politicians and it's already over. So they're doing this to your kids all across the country.
And it ruins their lives. In fact, at the time the story broke 8 years ago, Democracy Now! Had talked to one of the victims, and she talked about what she experienced and how she didn't even realize she was being prosecuted by this judge until she was being booked. So let's take a look at that.
I was about 14 years old, and I got into an argument with one of my friends, and all that happened was just a basic fight. She slapped me in the face, and I did the same thing back. There was no marks, no witnesses, nothing. It was just her word against my word. My only charges were simple assault and harassment, and I didn't even know that charges were pressed against me until I had to go down to the intake and probation and fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. This makes me really question other authority figures and people that we're supposed to look up to and trust. I mean, Chivarella has been a judge for a long time from what I know, and a well-respected one is what I thought, and I obviously not. It just really makes me question and not trust other people. I mean, if someone like Judge Chivarella could do this, then it makes me believe that anyone can betray the law.
And I mean, think about how these are formative years for a person's life. And what she said there was heartbreaking, because that'll change you. That'll do away with your innocence and your trust in humanity, right? Your trust in adults. An adult sent her to a for-profit juvenile facility just so he could collect kickbacks from the for-profit juvenile facility. And I'm happy that he's serving a prison sentence, 28-year prison sentence, Chivarella. I should note the other judge, Conahan, was sentenced to 17 years in prison, but was released to home confinement in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been released.
I agree.
You know how many poor middle class folks were released during COVID? My guess is 0 across the entire country. Do you know that they just cleaned out all the rich people from the jails during COVID? They would just go to the judges with their legal teams and go, "Oh my God, he could get COVID in prison." I mean, all he did was destroy the lives of all these kids. But he was a judge. He's among the elites. Oh, you're free to go. Home confinement, my ass. I bet he's at Red Lobster right now. Okay, so anyways, look, one other thing that's super important here. So this is $200 million settlement. Not a settlement, but a fine, right? But the judges don't have that kind of money, so they're not really gonna collect. Who does have that kind of money? The for-profit prisons. Okay, now, the depressing part is they already settled. And they settled for $25 million. Apparently that was a good decision by the for-profit prisons, because they probably would have gotten a lot more than $200 million if that's what they put on the judges, okay? So, but wait a minute, why are we even having a conversation about fining the for-profit prisons? Why isn't their CEO in jail? Why does it still exist? This criminal enterprise imprisons kids for cash? You should shut it down immediately and arrest all the executives. Nope. Corporations are untouchable. So the real villains here are not just the for-profit prisons, but the politicians who allow them, and the sick system that we have, where you can't bribe the judges, that can get you jail time, but you could bribe politicians all day long, and that's what they figured out. And so now your kids are still suffering the same exact thing. It's just not been made legal.